Alright, showing you my Barb spec. It's clearing level 60 solo nightmare dungeons. Start off with gear. Helmet. I don't go the typical build where you're getting cooldown reduction, resource cost reduction, that sort of thing. I have cooldown reduction on a few items, but I mainly focus on damage and survivability. Helmet here, you can see I have the Whirlwind periodically pulls enemies in. That helps for keeping enemies close. You'll see why in a second. Chest piece, focus on skills, stats, armor, and damage. Obviously here I have a defensive legendary aspect on there. It's maxed out 50% or 0.5% armor for every um, damage you do, stacking up to 50%. Gloves, ancestral, unique, gores, just the typical whirlwind blasting. I found like 4 of these, but they all suck, so this is my best pair. It's nice for the +4 whirlwind, but you can find those on other gloves. But the non-physical damage is what helps for your bleeding. Pants here, still another defensive legendary aspect, but you can see +4 to Warcry, and then some dodge, strength, and damage to elites. Boots, these are just for movement speed. This spec's a little slow, so I needed to keep up with the rogues I play with. Typical weapon is a little bit low. I focus on critical strike damage, core skill damage, vulnerable damage, and stats. And you can see that my Whirlwind leaves behind Dust Devils. For my main hands, one-handers, same thing, core damage, critical strike damage, vulnerable damage, and strength. Same thing there. Two-hander, more things with critical strikes. Basically buffing your core will make your Whirlwind better. And same thing, close, core, crit, strength. Ring here, this shout ability is what generates my fury so that I can whirlwind. It's really important with the spec. Here, same thing, if I am attacking big packs, I get my resource refunded so I can whirlwind longer. It's a really good ring. And then a necklace. Haven't been able to find one that matches this. It's still pretty low in item power, but you can see that I'm focusing on damage, armor. The crowd control duration helps because it keeps your bleed and slow on shit, so you do more damage to it. Ultimate skill damage really doesn't do much with the spec that I have, and I'll show you the skills that I'm using here. Pretty much 3 different shouts. You got Rallying Cry, which increases your speed, your movement, generates fury, and resource generation. War Cry increases your damage dealt, gives you Berserking, which makes you faster. And then Challenging Shout, which is damage reduction and kind of makes everything attack you, gives you more life. And then I have Call of the Ancients, so that helps me generate fury, and when you're fighting 1 or 2 mobs, including bosses, it gives them something else to focus on, then it kind of helps you survive. Paragon boards, these are what kind of make everything work. I went here with Glyph Socket for vulnerable damage. Makes it so anytime I attack something, they're vulnerable for 3 seconds, so I can pump damage in quickly. Next one is close damage and reduction from close enemies. This is really important because when you're whirlwinding, you're right next to shit. Third is the shout reduction. So anytime I cast a shout, everything else shout-wise is reduced 1.2. Just helps me shout more often. It's really important to keep your shouts up because that's how you survive and do more damage, especially when you're playing with people. It gives them unstoppable, which gets them out of freeze and other kind of movement impairing effects. This one is core damage, critical strike, damage, and skills that critically strike generate 3 fury. Just helps me keep fury going and regenerating while I'm whirlwinding as I'm critical striking. And then my last board is physical damage over time. This one's really important because when you kill a bleeding enemy, which anything you attack as a Whirlwind Barb starts bleeding, you have a 10% chance to reduce the cooldowns of your shouts by 1 second. So as you see when I play this Nightmare Dungeon, as I'm killing shit, my shouts are reducing their cooldown. So that's how I'm able to kill shit while not building your typical Whirlwind Barb build. Skill tree, like I said, typical shout builds. The items I'm wearing give bonuses to the shouts, give passives to them, and then build into Whirlwind, and obviously critical strike damage, 2-hand damage. Yeah, you can kind of mess around with this. It's not flexible, or it's pretty flexible. But yeah, let's check out a Nightmare Dungeon, show you how strong this build is. Let's do a typical 54. That's good. I typically sell everything because gold goes a lot further than the mats. Pretty much looking for things that are 800 plus item power. This is actually pretty good, but doesn't align with top end stats. I will shard the legendaries and sell everything else. They just patched it so you can teleport directly to your dungeon, so that's super nice and helpful. I always make sure I have a potion on just because 5% increased experience is important. You can find those things everywhere, so it's not like they're rare. Right now I have spiders, wildlife, maggots, snakes, and I'll upgrade it here in a bit. But let's get going. Ghosts are my weakness, just that they're not always right next to you. All my damage reduction is to close enemies. My resource generator is Lunging Strike. It's nice because it is also a movement ability. You can charge those things. But as you can see, that vulnerable damage from that clip before is pretty much just destroying everything paired on with the stats I've built with it.
I'm not ready.
See you run out of resource when there's less than 5 enemies. Makes it a little rough. That's what I saved my ult for.
I'm not ready yet.
Be picking up gems, but I still do. There'll be a reason. Nice and close. Hopefully this fucker doesn't hit me. Said my weakness is individual mobs, shit that's not right next to you. Ghosts, archers, that kind of stuff. That's why the pull is important, because it brings them all in, and you're attacking big packs.
Not ready.
Ancestral. Let's see what it is. Ancient Oath. Completely fucking worthless. It's sweet if that was a grandfather. Necromancer finds it. Fire guy's hurt. You get in a sticky situation, saving all your cooldowns where you got your all the ancients and all your shouts together will help you survive them a little bit better. You can have an issue with that guy, so you do it right. Another trick too while you're whirlwinding, if you have one mob just going back and forth like that will maximize your damage. Pull over from Diablo 3.
Not ready yet.
So you try to get a couple guys first. It's important. They get some armor around them. There's a good shot. Whirlwind pull-in. One affix to avoid is Death Pulse in these nightmare dungeons. After you kill shit, they all explode. It's real bad for when you're attacking close. Fire.
I must wait.
Done with this one. First death. Second away from a shout. Rough. I got everything. Nightmare dungeons are probably the best way to get gear. where I've gotten most of my uniques. Anything over level 33, you'll get level 85 plus, so you have the chance at the Shaco, the Grandfather, all those awesome legendaries. Neat as fuck. All my glyphs are about level 20. It's important to get them 15 so that increases the size of the board. And that is my Barbarian. Follow, subscribe, anything's appreciated. Check out my Twitch at Jamza, Jamzuhhh. Thanks.